I have to talk about social media then. The voters access social media a lot to decide where they are voting. Social media plays a big role in an election in today's time, and all this happening on a day when mobile services have been suspended on election day.
Social media is very important, and the biggest strength, if you consider all political parties, is PTI, Imran Khan's political party. Their social media strength has always been great, although the way that strength translated in the last elections and the way that strength has been translating in the 19 years before, there's a huge contrast to it. So PTI is still the strongest political party that Pakistan has, but then PTI, I've gone to those centers where they have all these operators and they're operating all these accounts. So PTI has huge infrastructure of social media manipulation as well as actual people following them. And but PMLN has invested a lot of money in similar photocopy kind of social media presence as well. I don't think canvassing really affects today. Nobody is going to decide today whether or not they'll vote for Imran Khan. I think that decision has already taken place, so I wouldn't really buy into the factor that this is the thing that's going to affect the outcome.
So
Things that will affect the outcome
what are the
have
deciding,
already been in play.
Right, but then what are the deciding factors in this election according to you? Many media people have called this a selection, not an election. Who are the traditional voters in Pakistan today? Is it the youth? Is it women on a day when mobile services have been suspended?
It depends. I mean, the cities are completely different from the rural areas, and it is the rural areas where the electables come from. And Pakistan's vast majority of the constituencies is the rural area constituencies, something that we don't really see. We think that Imran Khan's political party is very popular in the cities. It's only the urban areas. So Imran Khan could have never won the elections without the help of the military, but then nobody else could have either. It would always be a hung parliament. The military just makes sure that the hung parliament is hung in a way that the pro-military political parties have to be taken in to form a government. That's what the military is trying to do. And the military is not going to let even Nawaz Sharif become too powerful, because when Nawaz Sharif almost got the two-thirds majority, Nawaz Sharif actually thought he is the actual leader of Pakistan. The military does not want the politicians to start thinking again that they might actually be leaders. They are there for a job. They're like a CEO of a company. We're doing a selection of the CEO of a company called Pakistan. The military is supervising the hiring of a new CEO.
Let's talk about the people of Pakistan, Amar. Multiple crises, an economic crisis mixed with the political crises that are brewing at the moment, and now security concerns in a country on the day of election. What do the people of Pakistan want at this point?
I think the people of Pakistan's biggest concern is no more freedoms and, the second tier kind of rights. The people of Pakistan have a biggest problem is to survive. The economic crisis has changed Pakistan very politically in terms of people have a single agenda. They're unemployed. They want to make sure their children are fed. They want to make sure they can afford to pay rents. This has become the foremost agenda of Pakistani politics. And if you see at the national agenda of political parties, this is what it is. There is no more vote coizzat, though. There is no more militaries to go back to your barracks. It's all about we'll bring in some food for your family. So it has become about the mere economical survival of the nation, and this is what people essentially are going to decide. The difference of opinion is that everybody else thinks that the other party that they're not supporting is a thief, because the media has played a huge part in it. It has been indoctrinated in the minds of the people that politicians are evil, democracy is bad, and people need a stick to be controlled.
Emma, you mentioned the military. Talking about the military, there have been surveys in the country where the military has established itself as most trusted. In fact, 70% of the people say so. So my question to you is this a sign that the military is the most acceptable or the most trusted or popular rather?
I mean, of course, an entity that controls all the resources of a country would be the most trusted entity to do anything when it comes to construction, when it comes to the banking sector. Of course, the most reliable player in the real estate sector, in the industry sector, in the banking sector is the military, because the military owns everything. So when people say that if it's to do with building a bridge, or if it's building a hospital or anything, or even foreign policy, the military's foreign policy would be the only successful foreign policy, not because it's the best, but because of the usurpation, because of the fact that a gun is louder than a speakerphone. So the military is seen as the biggest political force, the most reliable political force as well, because nobody can do a coup against the military. It does not necessarily mean that this is the best way forward for Pakistan.
Right. Just looking ahead, when we talk about the multiple issues in Pakistan at the moment, an economic crisis, security crisis, terrorism on its borders, what is it that the new leader can assure the people of Pakistan, whoever it is who comes to power?
The new leader is going to have to talk about reconciliation. The new leader has to not do what Imran Khan was doing, to rile up his people and say, I'm going to go inside the jails and make sure that these people are actually being punished. They don't have basic necessities. I want to make sure. I think that kind of politics will not work. If it's Nawaz Sharif, which is very likely for it to be, then Nawaz Sharif is also will try to make it better internationally, especially with Afghanistan and India. And Nawaz Sharif is going to play the same tune that People's Party is also going to play. Maybe they'll form a coalition government afterwards. And it's all going to be about reconciliation, not going after the previous generals, but reconciling, even offering Imran Khan an olive branch and saying, hey, you know what, we could do the same with you. We slowly and gradually will give you some space to withdraw, because Pakistani politics cannot be consumed in infighting. Pakistan has an existential crisis to deal with. The financial crisis is enough for any government to stop worrying about other picking up their enemies and all of that. They really have to deliver on the number game, the economics of the game of Pakistan.
Amir, once again, I'd just like to remind our viewers about what's happening in Pakistan today. It's a big day for Pakistan elections. Polling is underway as we speak, and mobile services have been suspended. We have Amir Shaheen with us, a senior journalist. Amir, just to recapitulate what we were talking about, mobile services suspended on a day when the country is going to polls. Will this have any impact on what is to come, on the outcome of the election, when we talk about the youth?
So I was talking about the previous elections where only the areas that were designated as high-risk areas, in larger cities as well, last time it was only those areas where mobile signals were blocked. The rest of Pakistan was more or less, the mobile signals were not blocked. But this time the security concern has been heightened years before this election. The security forces saying we don't think we can provide security, all the way to these recent spate of terror attacks, especially in Balochistan. So in that backdrop, everybody was prepared that there's going to be a blackout. It becomes increasingly difficult to report during this time, because especially foreign correspondents are just not, you cannot access them because they're on location and they have to rely on the cellular network. But having said that, I don't think this final stage of time where there is a little bit of an internet blackout and almost complete mobile and telecommunication services blackout, I don't think this facilitates any kind of rigging, because it is so visibly already done. So I don't think this is just every time there is a big event in Pakistan, the rest of the world might not experience it, but we do have a blackout of mobile signals. So it's expected. The worse the situation is, the bigger the blackout would be. The rest of the world needs to understand that right. I don't think a lot of sinister things are happening right now. These elections, these things are not left on the last minute. Any manipulation, any rigging has already been done, as we've been talking about it. And the oppressors of yesterday are the oppressed of today.
Right. Emma, from a global lens, we have to talk about women in politics in Pakistan. We have seen multiple reports about women being barred from even voting by the male members in the household. What is the situation in today's Pakistan when it comes to women in politics?
Again, urban and rural areas, especially in rural areas, it happens in urban areas as well. Every political party, even a party which is a center of left, the Pakistan People's Party, their individual candidates, they historically have signed agreements between each other, what they call decomplicating the elections, as in, like, what do you do about the women? You basically agree that none of the women on any side will be allowed to vote. So that has been a convention in Pakistani elections, and it went as far as the left, center of the left, liberal, progressive political parties as well. But this has more to do with the culture of the tribal areas, for example, or the rural areas, more to do rather than rigging, because at the end of the day, in terms of voter rigging, in terms of people's ID cards being taken and then money being offered, which is a very conventional way to rig elections in Pakistan, women votes are sold more than men's votes, because women's votes, every tribe or every family would just sell the ID cards for a day. They rent it out, they cast the votes, and then they get the ID cards back. During the election days, you have these people holding big bags full of ID cards, going from place to place, and there are some independent contractors who are selling ID cards to different political parties too. So this is more of a cultural thing, I think, rather than a particular party trying to influence the elections. This is done across the board. Of course, the more right-wing a political party gets, the more chances are of them agreeing amongst each other that the women will not be allowed to, vote. However, even if a single candidate does not agree to that convention that women will not be allowed, then it's open season and all the women then are allowed to vote.
Emir, I'm afraid we're running out of time, but thank you so much for all your insights on the Pakistan elections. Once again, I'll remind our viewers that mobile services are suspended in the country as voters head to the polls. Thanks for joining us, Emir, on WION. And on that note, it's time to take a quick break on WION World is One. Stay tuned. We'll continue to bring you more insights from the Pakistan elections.